Hi Wallabies, welcome to Community Living with your girl Malebu. If you're new to the channel, please remember to subscribe, and if you're stopping back by and continuously supporting the channel, you know the jingle by now, so sing along with me. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Thank you to each and everyone that's been subscribing, commenting, liking and sharing. We're on our way to 12,000 subscribers. With us we have the lovely Melody. She's our guest for today. You know, we have that young professional series that we're running where people just tell us how they're making their moolah. Okay, we need to pray. Melody, are you gonna pray for us?
Oh wow, look at you putting me on the spot.
I have to.
I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
All right, let's pray. Dear God, thank you for this day and thank you for the gift of life and the opportunity to sit down and speak about our journeys and how you've carried us and brought us to where we are now. We thank you for this episode and we pray that it will be inspirational to so many people out there and it will be impactful and touch their lives in an impactful way. And so we thank you and we give you all glory and praise. In Jesus' name we pray.
She's going to introduce herself and tell us more about who she is and what she does.
Hi everybody, I'm Melody. I'm 24 years old. I think answering the where I'm from question is just so difficult. So I'm just going to call myself a global citizen, and I work as a candidate attorney at an international law firm. Probably go into what that actually means. But yes, I'm happy to be here and talk about my journey.
Thank you for availing yourself and making the time to come and talk to us. So the very first question is, how would you describe your career field or position?
I spoke about currently being a candidate attorney. For people in the legal profession, they understand that to either mean yes, being a candidate attorney or a candidate legal practitioner, or in other jurisdictions, a trainee solicitor. But for everyone else, all that jargon just means that you are a trainee lawyer. So yes, that's what I do on a daily basis. And just at a high level, what that means is you are with a firm for 2 years, you're serving your articles of clerkship, and you are assigned to the legal practice council as so. And what happens is, yes, when you finish your 2 years of articles, you then become an admitted attorney of the High Court.
The next question would be, how do you actually become a specialist in this field? I think you've taken us through a couple of ways, but then from maybe, let's just say, varsity level, what do you study? What should you consider? The law firm that you need to join. I think when we were speaking earlier on, you were telling me how competitive it is in this field.
Extremely.
So yes, can you just take us through that journey?
So I think the straightforward trajectory is you would do an LLB degree. An LLB is broken up differently these days. Before it was just a straight LLB, which was 4 years, but people do a BA, for example, these days, and then add on an LLB depending on what university you're at. So that would obviously be the starting point, getting your law degree. And then after that, you can go straight into doing your 2 years of articles of clerkship at a law firm. The fact of the matter, as I was telling you earlier, is it's super competitive. There are thousands of students in the country. Everyone is smart, doing amazing things, you know. So it almost feels like you're a small fish, right?
In a very big sea.
In a very, exactly.
Yes.
So yes, it's very difficult for people to take that straight route of doing their LLB and then getting into articles. But to answer your question, first of all, about, you know, how it is you become a specialist, after you serve your articles of clerkship, you'll most probably have figured out during the 2 years what department or, you know, what area it is you levitate towards more. And so you would carry on in practicing in that specific department, for example. So if it was corporate, if it was disputes, you would then practice that way for a couple of years, because also, you know, you're building rapport, you are gaining experience in that specific department, you're getting affiliated with those specific clients. And so that is how you would become a specialist. I think that's the best way to describe it.
And how long does that usually take? What is the minimum and maybe, okay, we wouldn't say maximum. I think maximum, yeah, that depends on individuals. But what is the minimum amount of years that one can take to become a specialist, or maybe just to be qualified? Let's start with the qualification or the registered attorney, and then after that, maybe to be a specialist in your specific field, how long would it take you?
So the registration part, like I said, you do your LLB for 4 years and then you do your articles of clerkship for 2 years, so that's 6 years. The latter part
Please repeat. Maybe
No,
I
that's
was
not matching. So your law degree is 4 years, right? Or it could be 5, like I said, depending on how it's done at your university.
Oh, you were talking about university level.
Yeah. No, not at all, please. So just to get that straight, yes, the law degree and then articles are only 2 years. But I think answering the latter part about how long it takes to become a specialist is very difficult because law firms are structured differently. So I work for an international law firm, and I know at international law firms, because they follow a global standard, it's a little bit different when it comes to hierarchy. So it's hard to say, oh, you're going to be a corporate law specialist in 3 years or 4 years. It's hard to say, because what's to say that in those 3 years or 4 years you will have attained that global standard that they want, you know? But for example, in a local firm, it may be different. They may say that in this firm, we believe that after 3 or 4 years, you've gained enough experience and you're now considered a specialist. We're going to promote you to senior associate, for example. Varies, but I think qualifying is the most important thing. After that, really, you know,
the trajectory is yours.
Exactly. You have a sense of stability. You're not worried about, oh, I have to job search, unless that's what you want. It's very standard, and then, you know, after a couple of years,
then
that's when you climb up.
You make it whatever you want it to be. Okay, I get it. And I think hopefully the audience also understands a bit more about becoming a candidate attorney and becoming a specialist in this field. And what made you choose this career field?
I feel like everyone who's done law has some inspiration, has some inspirational story about why they were inspired to do it. I'm definitely not that person. Because when I started out in varsity, I was registered for a double major in criminology and legal studies. And
that's in your LLB?
No, that wasn't my LLB. So that was
something else.
It was a BSS, a Bachelor of Social Science. So that's how I started out. And then the way legal studies was structured was, it was the exact same modules that law students did in their first year as well. So I got to do that, and then I was like, oh, okay, I'm excelling really well. And also, I just think I liked how I was required to apply my mind. It was very different from my other major. Back then, they had this kind of program where the department would allow you to switch over into law if, you know, you had done legal studies and you were doing really well and you felt like, you know, you wanted to get into law fully.
The guys that are doing medicine also have
something similar.
Like BSc, they can do like BSc modules.
Yes.
And if you're excelling, you can go into medicine. If you couldn't get into medicine, or if you want to now get into medicine. So
absolutely. So yeah, that's how I got into law, and I've never looked back since. So yeah, it's a little bit of a bland story, but we're here now.
But what was your plan with the BSS one, the criminology? You said criminology
and legal studies.
Legal studies. What was the plan with that one?
That's a very good question. Girl, I didn't have a plan.
Okay.
You know, literally, like when I think coming out of high school, and I don't know why it is we expected to have figured ourselves out and know what you want to be and what you want to study. So I just knew, I was like, yes, I have an interest in criminology and something to do with legal. I didn't want law specifically. I actually remember my dad putting it out there and saying, do you not want to also explore law? And I think I may even have applied for it in my university options. But then I wasn't just really for it, you know. So honestly, I did have a plan. And I think also when I was thinking about switching over to law fully, that's one of the things that was at the forefront. I'm like, okay, I need to think, when I'm done with this, am I going to be employable, you know?
I think it's very important, especially in Africa, because as much as our parents are like forcing some career fields, those career fields align with jobs in Africa. They do.
Yeah, honestly.
They do, you know.
They know what they're saying.
There's a coincidence there. There's some form of relationship between what our parents want us to be and the jobs that are available in our continent, you know.
Absolutely.
Elsewhere, you can definitely become a model and all these other things, but in Africa, fam, you're gonna struggle.
These conventional careers, that's one thing that they offer: stability and, you know, knowing that you have a job at the end of the day. Yeah, you're gonna get that.
Definitely. Is there money and opportunity to grow in your field? How would you rank that, basically, compared to whatever else you know about?
So, honestly speaking, I would say it depends on the nature of the law firm that you work for. I spoke about, you know, it being very competitive. So the honest truth, and this is based off, you know, also my friends in the industry and etc., if you get into a big law firm, a big five, for example, or an international law firm, they do have competitive salaries. It's really good. You are remunerated really well. And then fact of the matter is, obviously, if you're working for a much more smaller firm, a medium-sized law firm, for example, or a small one, the salary won't be as good. It makes sense because in terms of scale, they may not have as big clients or take on as many matters. So yes, if you go down that route or you find yourself perhaps taking on your articles in a smaller firm, then yes, the pay may not be as great, but I know at the bigger firms, it's really good, really great benefits, really great opportunities to grow. I think that was your other question, right? How is the money and is there opportunity to grow? Absolutely, there's definitely opportunity to grow as well. The goodness with bigger firms is they have a set hierarchy of how to climb the ladder. So you almost know for a fact that, you know, if you're great, your output is quality, and you've been there for a couple of years, you're definitely going to get promoted. You know, you're going to get that senior associate, director, partner, and so.
Yeah, so that's really good when you have a clear career path once you're in a field. Because I think for some fields, you're not sure, you need to make your own path in whatever you're doing. Question is, can you start a business and how many years must you acquire first before you can maybe try and start a business in your career field?
So I think in the legal sense, what that would mean is, can you start your own law firm, for example?
Yes.
Yes, you can, I know.
Or something else. It doesn't necessarily have to be a law firm, but anything law related that might require you to like maybe have some form of what is it called, registration, the candidate?
Yes, admission.
Yes, admission, or maybe just the LLB like certificate as well. Like, can you do things that are related to a business that require that and that you can use in starting a business or running a business? You know.
So I think the best way to answer that is, first is, can you start your own law firm? Yes, it's possible. A lot of people do go down that route. Like I said, because opportunities are very minimal. So a lot of people find that they want to carve their own way. And I think with any career, starting any business or however it is you'll look at it in your industry is difficult. You know, like you're an entrepreneur, you know, resources, getting clients, it's not easy. And I know quite a lot of people, especially in the SA market, try to start their own firms very early in their career because they figure out quickly that they're just not enough opportunities. So I also feel like that's harder because you don't really have that much experience. So yeah, it's possible, but all I would say in that regard is it has to be genuinely what you want. You can't just go start your own law firm because you're like, oh, you know, there's nothing out there, or I haven't come across opportunities. You need to be prepared for what it entails because like starting any other business, it won't be easy. And then what was the second question you asked?
What do you feel like you need to acquire first? What are the essentials for maybe starting a business? If you were to start a law firm, as that's one of the businesses you can go into, or that's one of the businesses you can start, what would you need to run a law firm as a lawyer, basically, or as someone that studied law?
I feel like that's quite technical, but I think, and you also spoke about like generally, even if someone wants to start any other business that requires legal know-how, what would they need? So admission is super important. Not saying you can't do it without admission, but I think it holds you back a little bit because when you're admitted, you can appear in court and etc. And I think there's just a sense of you have the requisite experience that someone would trust their in-house lawyer has, for example, or you know the lawyer in the business has.
Okay, so can you start a law firm without admission?
No, you can't.
Okay, you need that. Okay.
Yeah, you definitely need. It's like bare minimum basically, and then from there you can carve your own path, decide how it is that you want to do things, but you definitely have to be admitted because then in that sense, that's the only way you're considered as a lawyer technically. You know, by virtue of you just having a law degree, it's not enough. So you have to go through the training, you have to become admitted, and then you are in a better position to, for example, start your own law firm if you want to, or yes, get into a business that requires in-house counsel or.
And then in terms of the admission, can it only be done with these big law firms or any law firm? Who can do this and help you to get these? Is it clerkship?
Yes, articles of clerkship.
Yeah, who can help you to attain those? Can you do it on your own if you're not? Sorry, if you're not employed, can you do it by yourself?
so you can't. But you have to do it with a law firm, but it doesn't have to be a big law firm. It can be any law firm, right? But when it comes to applying for articles of clerkship, I mean, it's like any vacancy that's out there. So you'd have to formally apply for it, and then the firm would reach out to you and say, okay, we'd like to interview you, and etc. Then they would sign you on. So it's not something that you can go and do independently and then go and apply for. It's an actual formal process that has to be done via a law firm.
So you need to be employed.
You need to be employed, basically.
By
Yes.
a law firm. Oh,
Yes.
Okay. Any closing remarks before we wrap up?
Very hard to say or give like comprehensive advice in a short amount of time, because I think I mentioned this to you, like my journey was a little bit different. I didn't get into articles straight out of varsity. So there's actually so much I could say, but one thing that definitely comes to mind is, especially if you're trying to, you know, apply for jobs, and this is not just limited to legal, carve your own path, become stable, especially in your early 20s. You hear a lot of, oh, don't compare yourself to the next person, your time will come, and, but I think that's a little bit impractical, because everyone wants to succeed, you know. So those feelings do come up, but what I would say is be gracious to yourself throughout that process. Like, it's completely fine to feel the way that you feel, and it will come. I genuinely believe that, especially if, you know, you're doing everything that it is you can. You know, you're applying, you're putting yourself out there, you're getting really good grades. It may not be immediate, but you'll definitely see the fruits as they come. So yeah, just be gracious to yourself. Don't beat yourself up. I think quite a number of people have been down that road. I say that from personal experience. So yeah, those would be my closing remarks.
Okay, and where can our Laviswa Community Living find you, if any of them want to find you? Maybe LinkedIn,
Absolutely.
maybe one place.
Oh yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn under Melody Mutuda. I'm sure you'll probably put that in the description. Yes. I want to say Instagram. Yeah, I'm totally cool with Instagram. I'm private though, but it's also Melody Mutuda on Instagram. So yeah, definitely people should reach out and engage. Like I said, I think this is a little bit limited, especially people who actually are in the legal industry may have more questions. So I'm happy to answer those.
Okay, thank you very much for offering to answer the questions, and also for availing yourself for today's episode. And yeah, it was really wonderful to learn a bit more about being a candidate attorney, and hopefully a lot of you guys are inspired about Melody and her journey. And also, if you are maybe thinking of changing career fields, you sort of have a better idea of what to expect. Okay, so thank you guys for joining, and bye.
Bye.
Okay. Oh, I didn't pray, Lord. Oh, we didn't pray. We need to pray.
Wait, were we supposed to do it before we started recording?
Yeah, but we can do it, and I'll insert it.